I'm going to share this video on a topic that I don't usually cover these types of topics. But it's a lesson that I learned from a good friend last week. I had a friend come and visit me, and he really is a beautiful man that lives in love and appreciation. He walks around, he gives thanks to his shoes, he gives thanks to his car, to the road he's driving on. He gives love to everything. If he's carrying a bag, he gives love and appreciation to his bag. He's just a love bubble, okay? Now, before I share what he did and the insight I got from the way he lived, I'm going to just touch on the police, okay? And I know this might sound like it's going all over the place, but I'll bring it together. The police right now, whether you believe in conspiracy or anything, that's okay. I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. But I think it's fair to say that most people agree there is a 1%. It's actually a lot less than 1%. And then there's the rest of us, okay? And the key is to not actually reject or move further into separation, because separation fundamentally is how they control us, okay? Divide and conquer, order through chaos, things like this. But obviously they haven't got our best interest at heart. Now, they implement their agendas through the military and the police, and other avenues as well, but I'm just going to touch on these. Now, you might be in the police force, you might be in the military or have been in them, and you might disagree with what I'm about to say, but the military and the police force is mind-controlled environment. I know a number of people who've been in the SAS, and basically they get trained to act on orders without, even if it goes against their moral compass, okay? You get told to do something, you do it, no questions asked. And SAS are probably more so because their training's even harder. I watched the doco on SBS, and it was the first time they said they were allowed cameras in to see the SAS training. It's mind control. It's pushing people beyond the edge, beyond their limits, and it's mind control. And also the way they structure training in the police force as well, they control everybody through ego. Okay, ego is separation consciousness, and also what they do is they structure it so everyone feels like they're important, and they've got a position and they defend this position, or they get to a point where they feel like they've got the highest knowledge, and they get told, you're the best, no one knows anything above you, and people do. At every level they get told they're special, and that's how they keep it in they keep in their place, and they keep this order. Now, the police, what I've noticed is, a few months ago I was working in Newcastle, and Newcastle have got this like tank that's driving around the streets. It's basically a big four-wheel drive, and it's armour plated. And the police officers driving around looked like they were made up, having a laugh in there. But it was a concern. Also now the police in Australia are going to be walking around with AK-47s, like Uzis and things like this. And obviously I'm not putting my attention there. This is not the purpose of this video. I'm gonna finish on a high note here, okay? So bear with me. But what I've noticed is the police are getting, told, and the things they get shown, and the way they get taught, and things like that. They defend this ego personality as well, and that's causing a division now with the people and the police. It's almost like the police and the people, and this divide is getting bigger and bigger, and the police are getting more and more armed, and as I say, they look like the military now, and they're going to start enforcing whatever the elite want them to enforce. But this is where I'm going to bring it back to my friend, okay, who walks around saying he loves everything and everything. We went to the beach last week, and we were walking back from the beach, and a police vehicle drove past with like 4 or 5 police in there, and my friend was walking behind me, And as I looked at the police, and Danielle and Bo, we all do this, but when I looked behind the police, I noticed the police were waving, okay? When I turned around, my friend behind me was just waving with two hands at the police. And he was saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, okay? And I had a huge insight. Because behind that position of being a police officer, they're human beings. And it was a very different feeling to give the police all our love, wave at them. You know, it looked like the police were even shocked to get a wave, if I was to be totally honest with you. Because we have to address their humanity. We have to go for their humanity. They're human beings with families. And what's very interesting is the police are not in the 1%. Those 1% who we have to love as well. We can't hate them. We can't send anger towards them because it's what they want. So we love, we forgive them, we're compassionate towards them, we wish them all the best. But they don't care about the police neither. Okay? So the police are us. They're working class. They're not multi-trillionaires. They're us. So the more we resist this police force, the more it's ego against ego, and there's resistance fundamentally. I think a key lesson that we can take from my friend's example, Trevor Allen, is love is really the key. So we love the police force, and we give them all their love. It's a very different perspective on what they do as well. A lot of people are just losing respect very fast for police, and they're saying, you know, they put a negative spin on everything they do. They're against us, they're this, that and the other. But if you give them love and see what they go through, what they think's going to happen, what they're preparing for, they're acting out of fear as well. And I think the best thing we can do is if it happens that we're ever in a situation where something's being enforced, we address their humanity, because they're human beings and they're good. I believe a lot of people initially start the police force. A lot of people do get in it just because it's a job and you get looked after. But I believe a lot of people do want to do well. I've got a good friend who got pulled by a police officer and a few years ago now, and he told me a story. The police officer went to give him a fine for having his phone in his hand, and he said, it was just before Christmas a few years ago, and he said, I spoke to the police officer's heart. And he said, my friend, he said, I don't think I wasn't on the phone. I did have it in my hand. He said, I've got 4 kids at home. He said, and this money that you're going to fine me with, I could really put it to better use than this fine. I don't think I was putting anyone in danger. I was not on the phone. And he said, man, I'm really speaking to you as a human being and as a friend. I don't need this fine right now. And the police officer totally understood where he was coming from, just said, mate, keep your phone out your hand, and never gave him a ticket. This is a beautiful example of how it's just a very different approach than fearing them, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get a ticket, or resisting them and thinking, you blah, blah, this, all you're after is money, this, that and the other. I think the key is to love them and speak to their heart beyond the position of being police officers. So I just want to thank my friend Trevor Allen, because it was a beautiful experience, and it's a beautiful lesson. So I love you all. Take care. Bye bye.